Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Swapnil Hanmane, and most of you might be knowing, but still, I will start with my introduction. Uh, Currently, I'm working in Indian Defense Account Service. Uh, I got this post in 2000 from 2018 exam. In 2019, I started my training. I have given uh, in four attempts from 2015 to 2018. In all those four attempts, I have given four mains and three interviews. So last year we conducted approach batch. Again this year, many of my friends and Nirav sir requested me to again start the approach batch. So I decided again to start the approach batch. I'll try to include last year's learning and uh, whatever the mistakes people were doing. I'll try to give all these inputs to you. Okay, so why I'm again doing this? Again, it is a part of process. We always love to be part of the process of UPSC. I always, even after this year's prelims, immediately after GS1, I solved the GS1 question paper, Miss Prelim question paper. This is how it is my passion. I don't know from where it is coming, but still it is there. And Nirav sir also requested me to again conduct this year's approach batch. So this year we have integrated with the Nirav sir's batch test series. But if anyone wants to join only my batch, they can request Nirav sir to do that. He will do. Okay. So this is kind of one-way communication. I never like this online platform, but still I hope you are following me, and I'll try my best. Because in classroom I always find if everyone is interacting, I can see whether they are getting or not. But here it's not possible. But still, this is how now this is the new way of living. Okay, so what we are going to do this in this approach batch? Why this approach batch? Okay, so let's start. So I will conduct the full length test in on each GS paper, and these tests include GS1, GS2, GS3, and GS4. Okay, and in after this test, all I will design all the questions, and then after conducting this test, I will evaluate all these test papers, and then we will conduct the discussion after evaluation only. Means suppose today is 10th, and then we may conduct the first test on the 22nd or 21st, that you will get the timetable from the Nirav sir. So now today is the first approach lecture for the GS1. So in this lecture, I'll try to give all the approaches required, how to go about the syllabus of GS1, especially all these three parts: history, society, and geography. What are the sources you need to refer for GS1, and how you can practice the answers, how you can frame your answers, and you need to implement all these suggestion in the GS1 full length test. Okay, after that, what I'll do, I'll get your papers, answer sheets, then I will evaluate within next 10 days, and then I will give you those evaluated copies after 10 days. Then that time I will take the discussion. Okay, this is over for the GS1. Again for the GS2, we will conduct the approach lecture after the completion of the GS1 test. Okay, so 10 days after, suppose if you finish the 20 if you finish the if you finish the discussion on 22nd, then you will have the approach lecture on the 23rd. So again, that time I will give all the approaches required for the GS2. We will discuss the past question papers and how should be the framework for the GS2, and this process will continue. So after you getting the evaluated copies, we'll arrange all the mentoring and counseling sessions on the Zoom itself, so that you can talk to me personally. You can ask the questions, and I'll tell you the inputs which are specific to you only. Because in discussion, I will talk overall it will be general discussion. But in the evaluation, when you in the mentoring and counseling session, mostly it will be related to you only. So what are the mistakes you are doing, and what further improvement is required. Okay, so this is how the our process will be. So what benefits you will get from this process? See, as I'll be involved throughout the process, I will come to know how you are writing, what are your shortcomings, and I will help you in that aspect. Suppose if you write any test series, what happens? Suppose if there are many online test series like Vision and Forum, many are there. What happens if you write test in these test series? Many times it happens that those who are evaluating copies, they themselves never cleared mains exam. They have failed in prelims, but they are giving number of attempts in the from the prelims, but they are not able to clear. So what they do, they don't have any other option to earn or something to live in Delhi. So mostly these people try to evaluate the copies, and they get the income from that. It's nothing wrong about that, but what the problem is that they don't know the right approach. And those who get the selected, they go for the training, and they get the busy. So you don't get that thing, that someone who has really cleared, or someone who is known to you, that person most of the times is not available for you. And even if I check your one copy, I need to check your further next, second, third, fourth copy, then only I can track your progress. Someone has to be there to track your progress. So this is what I thought, that I can be helpful for the aspirants and my friends. So that's why I started this batch last year, and I got huge response last year. This year again we are going to start with this, and this year also the seats will be limited, because I can't evaluate each and every test paper written by everyone. So only those who are able to clear the prelims, maybe they are very on the verge of clearing the prelims and near to cut off, will give priority to them. If the seats are still remaining vacant, we will give priority to others, those who are even attempting uh, next year's exam. Okay, fine. So let's see. Uh, let's start now. Instead of discussing more on that, because you know more on that now, why we are conducting this. So let's start. Okay. So when you are now starting for the this year's exam, one thing you should keep in mind, that UPSC has somewhere shown its what how what type will be what type of the exam this year it will be. Because from the prelims question paper you can find that most of the questions were from the static. And UPSC has not gone into the current affairs that much, because of this year's situation, that because of pandemic, the exams might get postponed, or exam might happen or will not happen. So because of that dilemma, UPSC mostly decided to go for the static, because irrespective of the when the exam will happen, what is the exam timetable, the questions will be always valid. And secondly, over the period, because of the most of these coaching classes and so many the current affair material, everyone has started to write same things. So UPSC is maybe again will shift to the static only, even though question may come from the current affair, but it will be related to static only. Why I am saying this, because see, if you get the question on the suppose governor, or even for that matter speaker, so what they will do, they will ask question from the static, and for that matter they will test your current understanding from that. Okay, so there may be questions directly in GS 2 or 3, that what is the current amendment, what is the current farm bill amendment, etc. But what I'm trying to tell you is that try to focus on the static part more. And those who are attempting repetitively, the problem with them is that they think that they have covered the static part, but they, over the period of time, they forget the static part, because they think that they know, but when it comes to writing, sometimes they miss the facts. Sometimes they write shallow answers and very generic answers. So I'll request everyone, those who are attempting maybe twice or thrice or even 4 times, revise your all statics. Even though you know, at least once revise all your statics. Okay, this will help you to fetch good marks. Next, this was the what should be your approach this year. Okay. Next, how many tests you should write given the period that 90 days is very less period. If you go for writing large number of tests like 30, 40, even 25, this is not going to help because it will take you so much time. You'll not able to revise again. Okay. So write a optimum number of tests, and that should not be 4 or 5, or that should not be 30 or 40. That should be somewhere around 10 to 15 for the GS, not more than that. For optional, again, 4 tests is enough for the optional, because optional is not more writing oriented. Optional is more again approach oriented, and structure and those things comes in approach in the optional. So 4 to 5 tests is enough for the optional, and 4 tests for the GS. Okay, this many tests, total 20 tests are enough. Even if you are writing 20 tests, it will take you 10 days, 10 days, because after writing tests, you have to attend discussions and those things are there. So if you don't see your mistakes, again, it is not going to help. Just writing the test will not help at all. If you know what mistake you are going, yeah, what mistake you are doing, that will help you, rather than just writing tests, just writing answers. That is not going to help at all. Okay. Next is, not writing test at all is also not going to help. Okay, so you have to write answers, and I will request you to write full length test or sectional test, whatever, but 20 number of question number test you have to write. Why? Because just simply writing one question or two question is not going to reflect the exam environment simulation. Why? Because see, in one question or two question, you write maybe efficiently. Your लाइक आपका हाथ कभी दर्द नहीं करेगा उतना. बट ऐसा हो सकता है कि जब आप 20 क्वेश्चन लिखते हो, तब आपका जो इफिशियंसी है 2 3 4 क्वेश्चन के लिए, वो आप इफिशियंसी सीधा एक्स्ट्रापोलेट नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है, 20 क्वेश्चन को. तो सारा मतलब कुछ क्वेश्चन आप कोई क्वेश्चन आपको आता है, कोई क्वेश्चन आपको आता नहीं है. तो ये सारी चीजें रहती है. इसलिए आई रिक्वेस्ट टू एवरीवन टू राइट फुल लेंथ टेस्ट, मींस 20 नंबर टेस्ट. Okay, so answer writing, it will help. You can do your answer writing part, maybe 1 or 2 question, but you can make the structure for the answers. You can think the different dimensions, what can be your approaches, etc. Okay, but I'll suggest you go for the full length test. Okay, next part is about the sources. Now I'll tell you the sources, subject specific sources like history, geography, and society. Try to follow these sources. Okay, next is previous year question papers. I'll suggest you all to refer the all last 4 to 5 year previous year question papers, because mostly GS1 again is static. So you will come to know which all the areas UPSC is focusing. You can spend more time on those areas, and you can skip some of the areas which is UPSC don't focus. For example, world history and post-independence India. Hardly one question is getting asked from those areas, and we spend more time on those areas. So it's not if you do the cost benefit analysis, it's not that much worthy. So I'll request everyone to focus on the syllabus more. Now see, if you see the past year question papers, now if you go the subject wise, history, society, and geography. See, if you see the total weightage for the history, it's around 75 marks. Total weightage for the society is around again 75 marks, and total weightage for geography is 100 marks. But comparatively, if you see the amount of resources you need to read, that is more in the history. So you might take more time reading history and all, but you will miss the scoring papers like society and the geography questions. These are comparatively, you will find easier ones, and you can tackle easily with a little bit knowledge. Okay, so I'll focus. So give your so I try to request you to give your time according to number of questions. Okay, now next is, what should be your plan. Your plan, you can plan according to our approach batch only. Like we are going for GS1 first, so you can spend your next 10 days for the GS1, next 10 days for GS2, next 10 days for 3 and 4, likewise. So in 40 days you will complete your reading, first reading. So before next test like GS1 test, you should be thorough with your all static part of GS1, that is geography, history, and society. And if you see the, now you are already prepared for the prelim, so most of the part of history has already covered. Only part of post independence and the world history which you have not covered, you can touch for those part. And try to, even geography also you have, you might have read all the NCERTs, GC Leong, etc. Only thing is now you have to shift from the prelim perspective to the men's perspective. Okay, that you have to change the hat just. Only thing is society. You have not read anything for the prelim for the society. Now you can start with the society, because society is small syllabus and you'll get good marks. And I'll tell you the books which needs to be read. Okay, fine. If you have any question regarding the thing, keep putting into the chat box so I can answer accordingly. Next, we'll talk about the little bit on the answer writing. What should be the answers and everything about that, and then we will go for the each year's subject specific questions and their strategy. Okay, now first of all, I'll try to I want to tell you that 60 to 70% of the people don't understand the okay. I got two questions here in the chat box. Okay, how to analyze the question papers of the last year? I'll do that for you here. Next is, okay, NCRT. Okay, direct what are NCRT for the society? I'll tell you, and how to reduce time in answer writing. Okay, fine. So these things will cover in the answer writing only. Okay, now we'll start with the this thing only. First is try to understand the demand of the question. What happens is, I have checked many question papers, many tests, even Vajiram and Vision. Even I have checked myself last year here in Pune also. So I found that 60 to 70% of the people don't understand question at all. They write whatever they are knowing. They write something related to the question. They don't follow the keywords or the direction given into the answer. So that means what? Suppose there are the keywords like discuss, comment, critically analyze. They don't follow these keywords at all. So try to understand the keywords. Okay. For example, comment is the keyword. Mostly you'll find in all the papers comments. So what is expected out of the comment? Okay, for example, some scheme is there and they have mentioned something about that, so you need to comment on that. For example, uh, because of the Manrega, there is large scale reduction in the poverty. Comment. So what you need to do, whether how means you have to write both parts, like positive, whether supporting argument directly, means how the Manrega has reduced poverty. Okay, and at the same time you have to comment that how Manrega still not able to reduce the poverty, still poverty is there, right? So you have to write the arguments for the supporting the question or the supporting the statement, as well as the opposing the statement. And in comment you have the freedom to comment as per your wish. Okay, next, suppose for example discuss is there. Discuss is a keyword, is also, if there is a keyword discuss keyword, then it means large scale discussion, like you have to ask WH questions, you have to break the questions into different parts that I will tell you when analyzing the previous year question papers. Okay, so again, critically analyze or just analyze, for that matter. Again, critically analyze, you have to again put all the arguments, maybe supporting or again against arguments. Okay, so you need to follow the keywords. Next, that keyword will decide your what is the demand of the question. Fine. Then next part is your answer has to be comprehensive. So what does I mean comprehensive? Comprehensive means it should cover all the dimensions of the question. So for example, even the so we'll analyze some questions and we'll see what is does mean by comprehensive again. So what are the dimensions? Again, dimensions are what? Dimensions, if you use the different dimensions, means maybe socio-political, economic in a crude sense. But when it comes to the particular type of the question, just socio-political economical dimension will not help you. Okay, so we will take one question and I will explain you how, what does in by comprehensive. Okay, when maybe one from society, one from geography, we'll take question and I'll tell you what does it mean by comprehensive. Okay, so just try to understand when I'm taking the examples, whether I'm covering the comprehensiveness of nature of the question, whether I'm the addressing the demand of the question. Okay, so next is, someone asked me about the how to analyze the previous year question papers. Now analysis of the previous year question papers means what? You need to see first how many questions are coming from which topic, how much weightage is given to each topic. Next, whether the question is just demanding the basic fundamentals or the question is demanding your in-depth analysis of the topic. Okay, so the mostly questions are divided in these two parts. Next, if you want to analyze the previous year question papers, next is you have to link the question paper. Just I'll share the, I hope everyone is able to see my screen. Okay, so suppose I always like to draw this triangle. Okay, these are, suppose this is a previous year question. These are the source and this is our syllabus. Okay, so what is, suppose if you get the one question like for example, now there is one last, if you take one last year's question, there was one question related to for example ocean current or something, ocean current. Okay, ocean current. So how ocean current and water masses affect the coastal environment or coastal climate. So what is the question? Question is ocean, on the ocean current. Okay, so where you are relating, so you have to relate this question paper to the syllabus. From which part this question is coming? The syllabus, if you see, so there is a phenomena, different geographical phenomena where you current all the even climatology, oceanography, etc. So it is coming from the part of the syllabus. And now if you want to answer this question, if you want to answer this from the syllabus, okay, so you know the syllabus point, but you need to find out the source for this. So what is your the source? Okay, whether you are able to answer that question from your source. So what are your sources? Your sources might be NCERT. Okay, whether you are able to address the question from the NCERT. If not, suppose maybe GC Leong. Okay, so GC Leong. So whether you are able to address the question from the GC Leong, and if you are not able to address the question from the source, you need to change your sources then. Okay, so if so your first target is you have to link all these previous year question paper to the syllabus, from which part the question is UPSC is asking. So from this you will come to know which topic is important for the exam, because number of times the question has been asked on that syllabus, that means this topic is important for the exam. And sometimes you don't find the question from this, even sometimes you will see syllabus very syllabus is very short. So if you see the syllabus, they have just mentioned, I'll just show you the syllabus. Okay, so this is the syllabus. I hope you are able to see my screen. Can anyone tell me in chat box that you are able to see the screen and syllabus? Just from somebody? Yes, okay, fine. Mandar, fine. Okay, so see, now this is the syllabus. And syllabus, what is mentioned now, you see the geography syllabus. What is mentioned? Silent features of world physical geography. How you will come to know that? See, silent features means everything under the sun comes under the world physical geography. Okay, you can't predict anything from this. Then next is distribution of key natural resources and factors responsible for the location of industry. Okay, this is just two parts. Okay, and if you see here, important geophysical phenomena such as earthquake, tsunami, volcano, etc. So it will cover everything again that. So syllabus is not clearly defined into the so it is not clearly defined. So now what is your target? Where you will come to know what is the syllabus? Now if you see the previous year questions, you will come to know each and every question, and then you can relate to the syllabus. So it helps to understand syllabus properly. Okay, so I hope you are getting me. Then next, so why to analyze again previous year question paper? This is the first part. So understanding the syllabus properly, selecting your sources properly, and then your preparation will be targeted. You will not prepare haywire here and there because you have limited time. So you can restrict your preparation to those areas only where UPSC is very much interested. Fine. Next, I'll tell you how what we get from the analyzing these previous year question papers. Now I have uh, the previous year question paper. For example, geography. Okay, suppose now geography syllabus. This is the syllabus for the mains, and these are the previous year question papers. So okay, this is the 2019 question paper. Okay, if you see, I have used different colors from 1 to 7. This is the different color, and 8 is different color. Now if you see the 1 to 7, these questions are related to human geography, and the only 8th question is related to physical geography. Okay, so again, even the impact of marine life and coastal environment, it is more related to human than physical. Okay, next in 2018 again, if you see there are 7 questions are there. Only one question is related to physical geography, and rest of the questions are related to human geography. Okay, next. So in human geography, sometimes some people will say where environmental geography will come into the picture. Again, from those who are having geography optional, they might be knowing that environment will not come into the picture unless it is beneficial to us, to human. Okay, all the development or environment, whatever we are seeing, it is a human centric. Unless and until there is no human, we will not study that thing. Okay, so this is all again technology, resources. So water resources, the agriculture, everything, it comes into the human geography. Okay, so again, we saw that here in 2017, 5 questions were from the human geography and 3 questions from the physical geography. 2016, you will see 2 question physical, rest human. If you see 2015, again same pattern, but 2014, before 2014, the pattern was that mostly you will see the question from the physical geography and very few questions from the human geography. And 13 again, most of the questions from the physical and very few from the human geography. So from 2013, 14, 15, what UPSC is doing? UPSC has shifted its focus towards more on human geography, and this is the same pattern we observed in optional also. So what is your target? You need to prepare more human geography. So because why? Because UPSC is asking more questions on human geography. Though we are having syllabus, all the syllabus right from physical and the human, but you what you need to do? You need to prepare from the human geography more. Okay, so this is how it helps us to understand the pattern, or what is the UPSC is doing from these questions. And again, you will see the questions, they are equally distributed. Still, if you see the 2018 and 19 questions, you'll find certain question in geography from the planning and development part, or some questions from the strategy, even the question from the resources. So even in human geography, the resources are very important, and planning and strategy part. There is a one part in human geography where we study planning and for sustainable development. Okay, so UPSC is more focusing more on these parts. So whenever you get the time or whatever your effort is there, you should put more on those parts. And what happens is, what we read the fundamentals of physical geography. We focus more on the geomorphology, how what sea floor spreading is happening, what are the climate, cyclone, and these things only, and we neglect the human part. Okay, so and many people don't know what is actually human geography is all about. Okay, so I'll tell you what is human geography here. Okay, this is, see, if we divide geography in two parts, this is the physical geography part, and physical geography, what all things are there? Geomorphology, climatology, oceanography, biogeography, and environmental geography. And in human, what all things comes? So there are three parts: economic geography, social, and political. In economic, there are resources, agriculture, industry, trade, transport, communication, regional development planning, settlement. In social geography, there are topics like cultural settings, the population, the migration, and settlements are covered in that. And political geography is related to geopolitics. Okay, so if you see now previous year question papers, according to this, you will find most of the questions are asked from the later part, that is human geography. So you need to focus on this. Now what are your sources? So most of these points you will get into the in the NCERT, like India People Economy, which is 12th NCERT. Okay, so if you see the GC long, it is more related to the world, not just India. And first part is more on the this part. What is that? Geomorphology. Second part is all about climates, but this part you will not get in GC long. So only one NCERT we are having, that is India People Economy. And the human geography NCERT, it covers the world aspect and just fundamentals. It is not related to India, and the questions are asked from the India mostly. Okay, there are very few questions which are related to world, but still if they are asking the questions related to world, for example Arctic resources and all. Why Arctic resources are important? Because it is important to India. That's why the questions are asked. Okay, so you need to analyze these questions in this way. It's not just which question is asked, whether that question will be repeated or not. It's not, it is not related to that. Okay, so you have to analyze the questions like this. There are many and multiple aspects regarding to question paper analysis. Once you go into that, you will develop your own analytical ability. Yeah, and if you understand the syllabus properly, then when you are reading any topic or syllabus, you'll try to face the data so that you can write those answers. These questions will be there always in your mind. It will help you to prepare effectively. Okay, this is how it happens in the uh, in prelims as well. Okay, fine. From this, we'll go to next point is, just let me see the chat. Next question somebody has asked. Okay, what are the NCERTs for the society? Uh, okay, just let me tell you. I'll tell you the resources. Fine. So in last 2 years, I found very difficult to frame the answer in society question in exam. Will you please give some insights? Yes, I'll tell you. So just sir, this is student. Okay, and so need to. Okay, fine. Fine. Uh, Sources of world history in meantime. Okay, fine. Now we'll go for the sources. Before that, just I'll tell you, uh, if you want to do analysis of any question, or that means suppose some question is asked, critically analyze this question. What you require in that part? You require fact, data, cases, judgments, reports, example, etc., etc. Why? Because you can't just write a generic answer. If UPSC is giving some problem to you, and as a bureaucrat, you need to analyze that problem in depth. So as a bureaucrat, you need to focus on the data and facts. Okay, without data fact, answer can't be complete. You need to give all your supporting arguments the right justification. Okay, you can't just write an argument. Okay, this just writing an arguments will not get the right marks. Okay, so try to use all your prelim facts and data, everything, to support the answers. You have to write the examples. I'll tell you one question from the last year. Maybe we'll take the society example only. What examples are actually required? And in society, you just remember, without writing example, society answer will not be complete. Okay, and I'll try. See, in 2018, I scored 112 marks in GS1. Okay, and I got that marks only because of the right approach. And very few people, even they cross 90, even 900. Very few people, very few people in 2018. I have not written 2019 mains, but still I'll do analysis for the last year question paper analysis for you to summarize these points. Okay, now let's go for the sources. Okay, in history, uh, so if you take the modern history, you can rely on the spectrum, because spectrum will give you enough fodder points to write any questions. And these days the spectrum, the width, if you see the width of the spectrum, it has already increased a lot. Earlier we used to use the spectrum because it was small, and it was a notes from the, it is like it's a notes from the Bipin Chandra. So we used to use the spectrum for modern history. Again, there are some NCRTs, new NCRTs, for the maybe 7th or 8th NCRT. These NCRT, sometimes you will find the 2017-18 questions were asked directly from the NCRT, and UPSC has the habit to ask the question from the NCRT. So you can read the NCRTs as well. You will not get much fodder, but you will get the context of the question, because UPSC, if you write the right context and if you know the context, you can answer properly. Okay, next is world history. I'll suggest, see, there are old NCRTs there, but sometimes within last 2 years UPSC has asked the question from the new NCRTs. But preparing again the world history from these NCRTs, it will take huge time. um, just you want to have a glimpse on the world history, you want to cover all those points, you can go for any classes notes, they have covered the world history. Or else you can simply do, take the last year, two last years vision test solutions, and you will find the world history specific question paper in that, and it will cover all your 20-30 questions from the world history. So you can do, what you can do, just simply take the solution from the last 2-3 years from the vision solutions, and you can cover all the question answer format world history. Okay, it will save your time, but it's not a guarantee that you can able to answer the question from those source, that source. You need to read again all the NCRTs, because some UPSC is focusing on the NCRTs. But I don't suggest to read each and everything. Limit your source, so that at least one question, if it's that easy question, for example, what are the reasons for the American Revolution, you must able to address that question. That's it. Okay, don't do PhD in the world history. Next is post independence India, post independence history. Again, there is one NCRT, 12th NCRT, I think. You can cover from that. And if you still want to focus more on that, you can take any notes from the previous year questions. Also, you can, again, same format what we did for the world history, like take previous year solutions from the vision, and you can complete that. Okay, the post independence, the and modern history spectrum you can refer. Remaining ancient medieval, don't take any extra effort. Whatever you read from the prelim, try to include those facts and those answers in your mains. Okay, because now reading the ancient everything is not at all advisable. So you just, maybe if you have some notes, maybe short form notes, you can just revise those notes and try to relate everything to that question and write question accordingly. Okay, fine. So this is how history ends. Regarding society, in society, uh, I will emphasize to read two NCRTs. 12th NCRTs are, two NCRTs are there. That one is yellow color NCRT, I think Indian Society or something as name, I am forgetting their names. And some is India development related NCRT, the blue color NCRT. Okay, so one yellow color NCRT and one is blue color. These two NCRTs are very important in the society. Why? Because first, UPSC is asking direct question from the NCRTs, and you will able to write the as it is. Your answer will be as it is, I like NCRT. Secondly, these NCRTs will frame your answers very nicely. Even though all the sociology optional people, they use these NCRTs. Okay, so these two NCRTs, they are very good. Okay, you can find the previous year question directly from the NCRTs. Okay, after completing this NCRT, you may go for any other source. For example, some part of social society, it is not covered from that NCRT, you can go for the any other notes, maybe any class notes, maybe if you have class notes from Nirav sir, or maybe vision or anything. But your first target should be to cover the two NCRTs. Okay, and again NCERTs, you may get some notes also. For example, some classes they have already given the notes, or some people, some toppers like Kanish Kataria, or these toppers, they have already published their notes from these NCERTs. So what you can do, you can read NCERTs and you can keep those notes for the revision. Parallelly you can do as per your choice. Okay, but do read NCERTs. We'll find a directly question from the NCERTs. If you are not reading NCERT, you will not know the question of the society. If you will not know the context of society question. Fine, this is about the society. Next, third is related to geography. Okay, in geography again there are three NCERTs. First is fundamentals of physical geography, second is India physical environment, and third is India people economy. These three NCERTs are important for the geography. Okay, and these three NCERTs will give you the base. For example, the question is from the agriculture. They will give you the base: what is agriculture intensity, what is cropping intensity, what is cropping pattern, etc. They will give you a distribution for different crops, etc. Okay, fine. But over and above that, you need to use the data from the economic survey. If you see the last 2-3 years economic survey, there are different topics every year. In economic survey there will be one topic on the agriculture. You'll get all the facts related to agriculture on in that economic survey. For example, what is the food crop production this year, what was the last year, how it is happening, whether it is fluctuating. Even last years there was one topic separately: what is the impact of the climate or temperature change on the agriculture. So these sources like economic survey, and apart from that, Niti Aayog's 3-year agenda and strategy. These sources will help you to answer the questions which are coming, which are dynamic nature. For example, questions related to industry, questions related to resources, questions related to transport and resources, urbanization, etc. All these parts of geography. So never limit yourself to answer this question only to the NCERT or only to the basics what you read. Include everything what you are reading in the current affairs, maybe your vision booklet. Include everything from the economic survey, 3-year agenda, even all the reports coming which are coming. For example, Niti Aayog publishes so many reports, so maybe some forest report, that report here, this report. So try to include all the data and all the arguments to answer that question. Okay, but what you need to remember is what is the approach for the geography, that I will tell you. Okay, you can use the data from all the sources. Approach I'll tell you here. Fine. So these are the sources for the geography. GC Leong part again. See, first part we don't need to read, because already that you will complete from the fundamentals of physical geography. Suppose the question is from the on the sea floor spreading or continental drift. It is already mentioned in the NCERT. And I must tell you that the UPSC, even if it is asking question, it is asking question directly from the NCERT. If the question is on basics, it will be from the NCERT only. So you don't skip the NCERT. Stick to the NCERT always. You might be having so many notes here and there, that class, this class, but you'll not get the proper right marks. Even I, for the optional also, I still refer NCERT. Even I now, if I want to take any lecture, I still refer NCERTs. Still, I have those NCERTs even after exhausting my attempts. Okay, so don't forget NCERTs, but supplement the data from other resources, your current affairs, etc. Next is this is about the geography sources. Okay, fine. Now we'll go by subject wise. Kindly provide the sources for human geography India specific. Again, that is you need to cover from all these current affairs. Okay, which I told you. It will be there. All these question. Human geography India people economy is the best source, and you can cover the rest part from the 3-year agenda and economic survey and your newspaper. Fine. Let's go for now subject specific. Okay, it's already 150 minutes. Now we'll go for the subject specific. So we'll start with the history. Okay, now the most important and the basic approach for the history is, remember, it's a chronological approach. I'll repeat. In history, you need to write your answers in a chronological format. So what does it mean by chronology? Chronology is related to time sense, time. Okay, suppose what suppose the question is asked like, what were the reasons for the Chale Jao Andolan? Okay, what were the reasons for the Chale Jao Andolan? Okay, so you need to mention the reasons chronologically, because if suppose this Andolan is this movement was there in 1942, it's not just immediate reasons like 1939 or 40. This might be the reason. Okay, if you start the reason, the reason might be right from this even establishment of the or the formation of the National Congress, right from that, even maybe 1920s, 30s, and 40s. Okay, so write all the reasons chronologically. Okay, because all these have impact on the next event. So suppose there are 4 events, and these 4 events are leading for the final event, that is 5th event. So you have to mention first event which has happened maybe in 1910. That event again has a repercussion on the consequences on the second event, that is in 1920. Then you have to mention the 1920 first, and then in 1930, and then 1940, and then final event is 1942. I'm just uh, exaggerating just to just explain you. Okay, and when you are writing chronologically, don't remember to write years, because UPSC is this history will not be complete without years. So you need to mention the years. If you don't know the exact year, at least mention that the first decade of 20th century, second decade of 20th century, or maybe late 90s, late 80s, like this. You have to mention it. Otherwise the event and when that event has happened, it will not be clear from that. Second thing is, in the history, you need to use all the facts. Okay, for example, the women contribution in the for the women movement's contribution in the emancipation of women from the all these aspects. Okay, so if you are writing that, you need to mention the different women's, like their names you have to mention. Okay, for example, Savitribai Phule, what she did, maybe Rakhmabai, what she did, etc. Like this. So you need to mention all the facts. So who is the person and what is his or her contribution. Okay, so facts are very important in the history. Okay, see, if you see the history optional people, what they do, they use different approaches to answer the question. Maybe their historical approach, maybe argumentative approach they will use. But in GS, in history, you need to use fact based approach and year based approach. So facts and year both are important in the history. Okay, I hope it's clear in the history. For example, I'll share one answer. Suppose this was the paper which I wrote in forum, maybe somewhere, I don't know, I remember. But this is the question. Okay, so this is the question. I hope you are able to see. Examine women's role in post independence India with special emphasis on legislation to empower women. Okay, so just see the how what structure I am doing. I have written first is from independence to 1970s. Second, maybe from 1970s till liberalization, and from liberalization till today. Okay, so here I have approached I used the chronological approach. Okay, and I told about the facts. Okay, so suppose, okay, now this is the question. Okay, so Hampi stands out as an architectural marvel of Vijayanagar Empire. Discuss the distinctive features found in the architectural feature of group of monument at Hampi. So here what you need to write? You need to write as many facts, and you need to show those features, right? So for example, the distinctive feature like Virupaksha temple, Vithala chariot, and what it is representing. The Mahanavami Dibba, Lotus Mahal, Gopurams, etc. etc. If you even you don't know, you write something at least, but you need to write all facts, right? Now see, now even the trace the evolution of style of the painting from the prehistoric period. So if it is question is saying the trace the evolution, that means what, you have to write chronologically. Okay, fine. So again here you have to use the different formats. So this is how history question is all about. Okay, now next let's move for next part is society. Okay, let's take society again. In society, remember there are again there are different dimensions that needs to be used in society. If you read the NCERT, you will come to know those dimensions. But still, I'll tell you different dimensions. Try to remember these dimensions, how different dimensions can be used. For example, we'll take some question here. Maybe this question. Uh, for example, maybe we'll take this 19th question again. What are the continued challenges for women in India against time and space? Okay, so question is asking challenges, continued challenges for women in India against time and space. So unit, suppose now I told you about the understanding the demand of the question. Now there are two keywords. One is time and other is space. Time means you have to track historically. So how these challenges means historically, right? You can start from even uh, Vedic period, later Vedic period, even Gupta period and all, then modern India, and then after maybe freedom and after liberalization, etc. Okay, you can track. And next is space. So what is space? So if you see all the humanity subjects, like humanity subject earlier, they used to be analyzed in two terms. First is chronological and second is chorological. So what is chronological? Chronological means time, sense, history, and chorological, chorology is space means geography. Okay, so geography and history, they were the same subjects earlier period. Then later on, for just our understanding, we have differentiated those subjects. So when you are writing time, that means all the historical aspects means time sense you have to capture, and in space means maybe in a geographical space. Maybe there are different spaces. Don't consider geographical space means just states or just country or something. Space is something different. That may be your private space, that may be your public space. Okay, space is something that may be urban space or rural space. Okay, so space is something different. So if you know these dimensions of the space, then only you can analyze the question within the space. Okay, I hope you are getting. See, now if we analyze these continued challenges for the different space, maybe for example, private space or public space. Public space means what? For example, you can quote the workplaces. What is the situation at the workplace? Maybe despite getting education, whether what has now changes, what whether still those challenges are there or not. You have to try track. Maybe like I'm just exploring now dimensions. Okay, now time and space I have decided I'll write in time and space, but again in time you have to use different dimensions. For example, what, again you can use different dimensions such as what is there, what are the challenges in the economic aspect. For example, whether they are working or not working, what is their income status, whether they have right to participate in the economy, or maybe in societal aspects, for example, whether they have right to take education, what is the status on the health, etc. Or maybe the aspect of technology also you can introduce with the time. How they, if the technology is changing, what is their, what is the impact on technology and how they are facing challenges, etc. Maybe some again some other aspect like legal. So how the laws are changing, how still they are facing the challenges, legal challenges. Maybe you can say in a political aspect, for example, what is their participation in the decision making, what is their participation in the maybe legislative assembly, etc. So all these aspects you will cover in the time. So when you are covering time, so there you can just make an uh, uh, like a square box, and you can use the grid system like this. So first is we are now suppose tracking in time. So first our heading is A, capital A is time. In that small a, maybe you can consider economical, political, social, etc., legal. Okay, And now suppose now second heading will be B. Now they are facing challenges in a space. Okay, space maybe you can say you can say first is private sphere, and private sphere again you can use the different aspects like what is their status, or what are their challenges in the domestic violence, or maybe sexuality, or maybe health, inheritance, or dowry, or agriculture, or service areas, what is their status, or maybe caste, religion, family, kinship, etc. Many dimensions are there. Okay, so if you know these dimensions, you can answer it accordingly. If you read the NCERT, everything is analyzed from these perspectives. Okay, so in a summarization, what are dimension in society? So dimension is first major is maybe economical, political, social. This is very pastel, you might be knowing, legal, etc. But again, in society there are different dimensions like caste, family, kinship, etc. All these dimensions will come. Okay, maybe gender dimension, maybe different like these things are there, those issues are there, maybe health, inheritance, dowry, etc. Maybe you can use another dimension like international dimensions, how international dimension has affected, for example climate, maybe water crisis, maybe migration, maybe communal violence, how these challenges still the women are facing, right? So all these dimension you can explore. I hope you are getting. Maybe suppose if we take the case of old age population. Okay, so old age population, again, what are the dimensions? Again, suppose if you are analyzing their situation, you can use their different dimension like family. So what is their status in the family? They are, whether they are discriminated in family. Secondly is regarding to financial issue, whether they are financially independent, whether they are dependent, how the society is treating them financially. And then maybe institutional, whether state support is, whether we have state support to them, whether do we have old age home, whether do we have any in structure to support them. Maybe social mobility, for example, they feel lonely, alone, etc., and there it is affecting their psychology or their mental health. Maybe different laws, how laws are treating social security, what is the social security, etc. So you have to analyze these as per these dimensions, and then you can use solution XYZ solution that to address these challenges we need to do this thing. Okay, so fine, I hope you are getting different dimensions in the society. uh, Now here, if you see this last question, are we losing our local identity for the global identity? Discuss. So what happens is, I told you about the comprehensiveness of the question. What is happening is, people are, if suppose this question is asked, people are writing either yes to support of this question or no. Okay, yes means you have to write in a two steps. First step will be, your broad heading should be yes, we are losing our local identity, getting compromised for the global identity. Maybe you can write, just a minute, just you can write the questions, you can write, just a minute. बिजी हूँ, थोड़ा बिजी हूँ, लेक्चर चल रहा है। हाँ, कुछ भी चलेगा, okay, sorry for disturbance. Huh. So I was talking about this question. So you will write the arguments which are in the support of the question, and you will write arguments which are against the question. Sometimes you may feel that it's not just we are losing the identity. You may feel that it is strengthening the identity. Okay, so you can write the answers accordingly. Not necessarily always that local identity is losing. For example, you are strengthening your identity. For example, the local identity, or we are having yoga, for example, that matter, it is getting global. Maybe you are all the like food. So again, here again you can use different dimensions. Maybe you can use the what is the identity? Identity actually it is a part of culture. So culture, what are different dimensions of culture? Maybe it is a food, maybe clothing, maybe festival, dance, drama, everything. All these are part of the culture, right? Religion, race, all these part of the culture. So how it is getting global identity, right? For example, the yoga is getting globalized. You can write, no, it is strengthening the world and identity, etc. Maybe you can write the part of like idli, it is getting worldwide, people know the idli, etc., etc. So you can write accordingly. Okay. And again, in support, many it's all right. So basically it is a question related to globalization and localization. If you read the NCERT, answer is mentioned in that. For example, they have mentioned the example, right, for the burger and McD's example. So they have nicely mentioned the McD's example, that we get the veg burger in India, right? So they have modified the burger as per need for India. So for training, you can write this example, right? Such example. Maybe you can write the different examples, whatever you know. But without example, this answer cannot be complete, because whatever the arguments you are supporting or maybe against, you need to write each and every argument with corresponding example. So here, without example, the answer will not be complete. Fine. Again, one question will take some question society. Okay, now see this question. Ninth question. Empowering women is the key to control population growth. Discuss. Okay. So if you think this question, many people, what they do, they will write only things how empowering women will control the population. Okay. Yes, major part of the question's answer is this only, right? Maybe you can write how the education will help the awareness, and maybe you can write the examples like awareness, also like awareness related to contraceptives. Maybe education will get him to the workforce, and it will delay the birth of the, and it will control the population, etc. So you can use the different dimension, and you are taking the one dimension and you are proving the how it is controlling the population. So most of the people will write only regarding this, but you need to write at least one paragraph for this, that not only just empowering women will help to control the population. You need to write other aspects also, like for example, it's just not women, you have to make male also aware. You have to use other dimensions also, not just women, empowering women, but maybe population control के लिए अलग अलग theories होती है, अलग अलग suggestions है, वो भी सारे include करने होंगे, तभी हम control कर पाएंगे population. Okay. So final your conclusion has to be like this only. Okay, final your conclusion has to be like this only, like it's a yes, right? It is a key. Empowering women to is key, right? So you have written maybe your 70% part of the question, or 70% you have given to this part, but at the other aspect also you need to write, then only the question is analyzed comprehensively. Okay. So most of the people, they get 1 or 2 marks less only because of this. They, even what will happen, even I may write even 4 points, some other people, maybe some people will write even 10 to 12 points, but it doesn't matter because you have missed one aspect completely, so you'll get less marks, because covering other all aspects is important, because this is general studies. We are not doing analysis in just for the particular aspect. Okay. So you have to answer the question comprehensively. Someone has asked me, is it necessary to write 10 to 20 to 12 words for each sub point, even though it is self-explanatory? Okay, so writing answer should be like, you can write a PowerPoint format. For example, what are the reasons for particular this and this? So you can write first lack of this thing, or something something, and then you can write one statement. So this is your first point. Okay. So now understand this. If you are writing an answer in a society, if you cover as many as aspects, it will give you more marks. If you miss some aspects, it marks will reduce. This happens in a society. But in a geography, it doesn't happen like this. You don't need to write 12 points, 10 and 12 points. Sometimes in a geography, there are only 2 reasons, and these 2 reasons only you'll get full marks. Okay. It's not that you have to write 10 to 20 points in geography. Okay, so it depends on the question. So how you are going to cover the questions entire part. Okay, so not necessarily 10-12 पॉइंट लिखने हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. ठीक है. Next is now we'll go for the geography. Okay, now we'll go to the geography, and then I will tell you the broader how to structure the answer, intro, body, conclusion, etc., and what to include into the answer. Okay, fine. So finally we'll take the structure. Let's finish geography first. Now in geography, okay, in geography, first thing I told you about human geography and physical geography. Now when you are writing any question in the geography, the most important aspect is, if you see the what is the geography is what is, where, and why. Okay, so what means, suppose if we are talking about the cyclone, so particular we are talking about cyclone, it will cover under what part. Where part, where means distribution of cyclone. So where are the cyclones are distributed, that will cover in the where part. And third is why and how. So how cyclones are developing. So basically what are the reasons, means you will write the causes or cause effect analysis, whatever it is there, you will write in a why part. So if you skip any part, any of this part, you will not get the complete marks of for the geography question. Okay, so for example, sometimes it may happen that the question is only related to 2 out of 3, or sometimes question may be cover 3 out of 3 parts. Okay, you take any question, you have to divide in these aspects only. Now let's take some question from the geography. Okay, for example, now this 7th question is there. Okay, this 7th question is what? Discuss the factors for localization of agro-based food processing industry of Northwest India. Okay, so question is talking about agro-based food processing industry. Okay, now if the discuss the factors are there, so what you should know? You should know the factors, but unless you know the geography, their distribution, how you can analyze the factors? So first of all, you should know what all the industry, how it is distributed in the Northwest India. Okay, maybe for example, the agro-based industry, maybe cotton textile industry is there, or woolen industry is there, or sugarcane industry, or paddy-based rice mills are there. All these industry which are based on the agro-based industry. Maybe even some of the industry based on the vegetables are also there. For example, tomato and these are also there. Okay, so these are the basically some of the agro-based industries are there. Okay, so you should know the distribution first. So you have to draw a map which is showing the proper agro-based fruit industry there. If you know the particular some places, for example, Jalandhar is known for these cotton textile industry. So many factories, textile industries are there. If you see even some Panipat and those regions, you will find some industry related to woolen industry and all. Okay, now you have to write what factors. So now your answer will start here. Okay, and these factors, maybe now what you are doing, first was the factor was related to raw material. So what I told you is related to raw material. So first major important factor is related to raw material. Okay, so basically raw material which is available, for example, woolen industry, woolen textile industry. So if we see all the wool which is available from the higher mountains area, maybe in Jammu Kashmir, Himachal, or even for the matter Uttarakhand, all these wool, it comes to the Punjab, and the most of the industry you'll find there. Okay, so like this, you will find even cotton, it is largely grown. So first factor is raw material. Now you have to you can't mention just raw material, you have to tell which raw material and why. So first you are what came to your mind is distribution, second is factor, and you are giving the reason for that. So how, why part will come there. Okay, so for maybe next part is maybe, for example, the available of capital, maybe Third part may be available of irrigation facility. Okay, so irrigation facility, just mentioning irrigation facility will not help. You need to tell some dams, like for example, maybe canals, maybe rivers system, which is available there. And because of that, the sugarcane is grown or paddy is grown, etc., and which is available locally. Okay, so you have to tell the factor and the how part, why part it is there. Okay, so this is how you have to discuss. Now here there is no against argument, right? It is only all you are supporting. So you have to structure your geographical answer in a such a way that it's answering all three parts: what, where, why. I hope you are getting. And you can draw smaller maps, like just small maps. Maybe I'll show you some maps or some diagrams how to draw. Now the second part, when you are answering the distribution, you have to draw map. Okay, map is compulsory. Without that you will not get marks. Just mentioning that you will not get marks. And when you are answering the later part, which why part, why and how part, you need to draw the diagrams. For example, how cyclone is happening, you can draw some cyclone diagram. Okay, from where the wind is coming, where wind is going, where wind is circulating, etc. Okay, fine. So I'll show you some answers. Okay, let's see. This is the this I wrote in test, one of the test, GS1 only. Okay, see now, this is some question regarding to textile and apparel industry location that can lead to social empowerment. Okay, so so I have drawn some one map, and I have shown their distribution, potential region, and this is the market, how it is going to help and empower the women, etc. So small map here. Maybe you can take some other example. See here now, there was a question related to some pre-monsoon dust storms are not out of ordinary, but due to the confluence of multiple factors. Okay, so now you can divide this question itself in what I was discussing. So what means what is there? It is dust storm. Okay. Second is where. Where means again you have to give the distribution, and third why. So it is more asking about the why part. Okay, there are multiple factors, so these factors means why part. Okay, so I have mentioned something recently, what are the Lu or Andi, something has happened, and I have mentioned where it is happening. So first we come, that is it is location where it is happening. Okay, so this is the reason where we find most of the dust storms. So small diagram. Next, factors responsible for the dust storm. Okay, next factor, next point is factor, right? So here I have mentioned one factor, two, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. And in that, whatever the diagrams required, maybe one or two diagram, not more than that, one or two diagram is sufficient. So here I have shown just how the dust embedded westerly is coming, how the vertical wind, how there is a high pressure, and how upper air pressure is not allowing to raise the air, etc. Simply this. Okay, so I have mentioned the effect of high pressure, and thus, okay, this is how. So these are the some physical reasons, but there are some human reasons also, which have, for example, reduced vegetation between Delhi's and Potwar Plateau, which is okay, not acting a barrier for the dust laden westerly. So continuous supply from arid areas and high land degradation, soil erosion in the recent times. So some are the human induced reasons are there, and some natural reasons are there. So both aspects I have covered. I have used the diagram to explain the factor, and I have used the map where it is actually happening. Okay, so this is how the answer it will cover your answer. Okay, you need to clearly mention the heading, factor responsible for the dust storm, so that the examiner can read properly where is the answer. Next, when you are writing an answer, you need to underline the right keywords. Like for example, westerly wind, so you need to mention westerly wind, you need to mention high pressure grid. So these are the keywords in the geography. Like that, keywords in society will be maybe whatever our dimensions are there, those will be the keywords. Here these are the keywords, so you need to highlight the keyword so that examiner can read your keywords only. He is not interested to read all your answer. He will just see what all the answer. He will read first your heading, maybe subheading. He will see your diagrams, he will see your map, and he will see the keywords, and he will come to know that you have understood question properly and you have written the answer from all the aspect, and you will get the better marks. Okay, maybe next, suppose, so the question is related to the different type, what is wind and what are the factors responsible for the creating wind. Again, factors responsible for the creating wind, maybe there are different types of wind, for example planetary wind, small diagram, maybe local wind, again small diagram. Okay, maybe this upper air wind or upper wind, again there is a small diagram. There is seasonal wind. Okay, so these are the some winds, and there are again factors responsible. So, maybe some pressure gradient. I have just shown like this: high pressure, low pressure, and wind is going. This is how pressure gradient is getting created. So just self-explanatory diagram, maybe Coriolis force. See, just small diagram, it will help to show your why part. Okay, so this is how you have to write all the answers in the point format only. Don't write answers even in a paragraph format. Write answers in a paragraph format only when you are not sure. Okay, only when you are not sure, then only you can write in a paragraph format, but try to write your answers in a point format. Fine. Next, in geography, there, if you see the structure of the answer, it's common to all, but specific to geography I'll tell you first, and maybe in history. If you're writing in a structure, when you write, you should write, that everyone now knowing that we need to write an intro, body, and conclusion. Okay, so what is intro? Intro is most of the time context of the question. Okay, for example, there is a question on the plastic menace. You should write the context that this much plastic pollution is happening, and this thing. Okay, so this is how context, or something is in the news. Okay, and they have asked some question, so you can write that context. So you can start from the always from the context, and it's always better to start from the context. And the writing benefit for writing context is, the examiner will come to know that what is you have understood question properly. Okay, आपको क्वेश्चन समझ में आया, कंटेक्स्ट से समझ में आता है कि क्या कंटेक्स्ट लिख रहे हैं, उससे समझ में आता है कि क्वेश्चन समझ में आया. ठीक है, तो ही विल नॉट गो इनटू द डिटेल अगेन, ही विल कम टू नो, एक बार क्वेश्चन समझ में आया आप सही से लिख देंगे. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट इज यू कैन स्टार्ट फ्रॉम द डेफिनेशन. Mostly suppose there is a unknown thing, for example what is pseudo volcano, or something which is unknown, very unknown, that you can start from the definition. Or some technology, for example 5G technology, artificial intelligence, or something is there which is very unique, or it's not just vague or common. You can start from the definition. Suppose the question is there on the migration, you can't write a definition for the migration, right? Instead of that, you can write a data for the migration. What is the amount of migration is happening? Give an account for the migration instead of that. No? Or you can give the context for that. You can write some facts, or you can quote some current affairs question, current affairs thing, right? So writing definition in that aspect will not help you, because it will show that your understanding is very shallow, and you don't need to write definition only at the such aspects which is not common. You can start from something from the significance. You can start from the even issue also. Okay, so this is how you can start your introduction. Next is in body. What you need to write? You need to see, remember always any question, try to link to the syllabus. For example, if we were talking about the localization and globalization, try to link to your syllabus. You can link to your NCERT and you can write the question. So if you link to the syllabus, you will understand what is the basic. For example, always UPSC asks factors responsible for the location of industry, right? So it is a part of syllabus. So you should remember, okay, factors, I have some common factors. Like for example, resources, I have capital, I have labor, I have man, I have material, etc. So all these factors are responsible. Okay, so if you link to the syllabus, you can generate more points. Next, write different dimensions. As I told you, in society dimensions are different, in geography dimensions are different. Next, definitions. Again, in geography, I'll tell you dimensions. So I'll just elaborate for elaboration. If you're writing an Indian geography question, for example, uh, uh, earlier there was one question, how the industrial corridor will help for the development. Okay, so people, what they do, they write the question just with respect to industry, but it's not the case. Industrial corridor is going to help for right from your yes, economic aspects are there, employment is there, poverty is there, etc. But it is also having some other aspects like migration, population distribution. It is also going to impact on the regional development. For example, the development will spread along the corridor, not just one single region. So it will help to reduce the regional inequality. It is the right strategy, right? It is a planning. So corridor is what? It is a planning part. So how it is going to address the other part, maybe how the agriculture development will happen. For example, the suppose Pune Mumbai or Pune Bangalore industrial corridor is there. So if you locate some industry in Kolhapur, all the vegetables which are produced or agriculture, suppose sugarcane, will go there in there only. So it will help for the local employment. It will help. It will reduce the wastage in the transportation. It will reduce the transportation cost, etc., etc. So you can develop the all the dimensions, like even you take resource for them. So there will be optimum utilization of resources. You can write some aspects of trade, transport. You can write aspect of cultural, for example, how the development will happen, the population aspect, etc., etc. Settlement aspect, you can write. It will reduce the urbanization or congestion in the cities. It will spread the development. It will help to reduce the congestion, etc. It will reduce the slums, etc. So if you are writing in a question like industrial corridor and effect on development, you can use all these dimensions which I have mentioned you. It covers in a human geography. All these aspects are human geography. Okay, so dimension. Next, definition. You should be very thorough with the definition, clear. In geography, if you're writing definition, you should write a good definition. Just don't say that wind is coming from here and wind is going from there. You always use the words like keywords like wind is blowing, right? So I have found many people write like this. So when you are writing definition, use the keywords like low pressure system, high pressure system, wind, etc., etc. Westerlies. All these are keywords. If you use all these keywords in a definition, the definition will be complete. You don't need to write a full page definition. Definition is short and crisp. Okay, specific words covered. Diagrams and maps I covered. I told you when you will use the diagrams. When you are explaining why part, you will use the diagram. When you are explaining where part, you will use the map. This is what it is mentioned. Then interlinking of the syllabus. Interlinking is what? Suppose again I took the one example for industrial corridor, where interlinking is what? Interlinking within the syllabus means what I did, I interlinked the corridor to agriculture, industry, trade, transport, population, migration, settlement, urbanization, etc., etc. So what I'm doing, I'm analyzing question comprehensively. It's not just one point. Okay. Next is number of points. I covered that how many points should be there or not. It depends upon the question. Not don't. It's not like that you write 10, 15 points and you will get the good mark. It's not that, but try to write the as many as points as possible, as many aspects as possible, as many dimensions as possible. Okay. The geographical analysis. Okay. There will be some question like, for example, GST. What would be the implication of GST? So there will be question in the GS1 as well. Sometimes even IRNSs or scientists say people think that how this question is asked in geography. No, it's related to geography. Okay, maybe GST, for example, because of GST, what is happening? The GST, so it is a one nation one tax, like it is a tax. So it is a reducing the state barriers. So it will help to movement. It will faster the transport. It will help to industrial development, etc., etc. Okay, so all this what I am doing, I am helping, taking the help of the region or the space aspect. Okay. For example, patterns. Again, in geography, you are writing some patterns. So for a pattern, so if you are writing sometimes what is the uh, pattern means. Pattern is what? There are two aspects of pattern. One is time pattern, temporal aspects, and second is a spatial aspects. So what is the pattern? For example, if industry is there, if you are tracking the evolution of industry, so the maybe with respect to space, like where and which regions industry is developed, and the temporal pattern, from which year, like for example, railway in 1853 there was first railway from Thane, and then how the railway is developed. So it is a temporal pattern. So if the question is asking pattern, you don't forget the temporal pattern. Okay, for example, I'll show you one question. uh, okay, so recent extreme events distribution. Okay, so distribution is again pattern only. Okay, so recent event means what? I need to show with respect to space, and I need to show with respect to time. So when I am showing space, I'm using all the map here. Okay, in Uttarakhand there was a cloud burst, in Mount Abu there was a heavy rainfall, and in Chennai there was a cyclone, etc. But I am also mentioning the year, which is tracking my temporal aspects. Okay, so you can also see, you can track with respect to decade also. Maybe the last 10 years this many events happened, previous 10 years this many events happen, etc. But it will be very difficult. But you need to show the that aspect, like pattern, temporal pattern. Okay, now one more aspect I'll try to cover as fast. The physical and human link, I told you, because the question is now more, they are focused on human aspect. Now there was a question last year regarding to that ocean current and their impact. So here ocean current is a physical phenomena, but human link is what? Ocean current has impact on fishing. Ocean current has impact on maybe navigation, because some cold current and warm current, if they are coming together, fog will be created and there will be impact on the navigation. Okay, so always there are physical impact on human. You try to track all these things into your geography questions. Okay, you try to focus more on Indian geography. Next point. Next, examples. While giving example, try to give different examples, maybe some regional example. See, for example, I gave one regional example related to maybe Uttar Pradesh, what was development there. Maybe you are giving well spread examples, like here. Here I have given well spread examples. I have given examples from South India, Western India, Northeast India, and North India. Okay, these examples should be well spread to all the region. Then it will cover the special aspect nicely, right? And last point here, this try to include all reports, research, studies, surveys, institution scheme, etc. in your in your answer. So answer will be comprehensive. For example, there was a question related to coral life, and their impact, etc. There was one report published by Wilkins. It is called as Wilkinson report, and that report has analyzed the impact of human impact on the coral life in all oceans, like Andaman Ocean, Andaman Sea, or Indian Ocean, or for that matter Pacific Ocean. Okay, so if you quote that report and if you write the answer accordingly, your answer will be good. Otherwise, it will not get good marks. Okay, so just check if you are coming across any report, for example World Bank report or that report, try to include those things. Okay, in geography, how you will conclude? Always try to connect the physical part to the human or significance. For example, ocean current, how it is significant. If we know their impact, we can plan accordingly, and it will reduce their negative impact, etc. Okay, so we have covered the paper wise. Now I'll take some question and then quickly we'll check the structure part. Okay. uh, okay, so someone has asked where to give solutions and where to draw diagrams. See, solution, where to give solution? If the question is giving some problem, okay, some issue is there, you need to give solution for that. Next, uh, explain the keywords in brief. Maybe what I'll do, uh, this thing you can study on your own. I have mentioned some keywords, but you can study on them. And when while having our discussion for the first paper, I'll try to use all the keywords mentioned, different possible keywords, and there I'll tell you what was expected in that keyword. Okay, can you please discuss the question related to secularism? Okay. which was this? Huh. Okay. What are the challenges to our cultural practices in the name of secularism? Okay. See, now this question is very tricky question. Some may feel that this question is asked in a different way, which was expected. But again, still you can write the answer, but don't write as a extreme points. Yes, definitely there were some events, like if you see this some events like Sabrimala, or for that matter temple entry or triple talaq, etc., and how it is impacting. Okay, so you can take the help of the some examples, maybe challenges to our cultural practice. So what is culture? Basically, culture is our religion, culture is our race, identity, maybe food, clothing, etc. Okay, so what is happening? For example, say uh, PS, so for example, I'm just quoting this. You can't include that thing. Suppose I used to like the wearing the t-shirt which of orange color, but if you wear the orange color t-shirt these days, people will tag you that you belong to particular party. Okay, if you particularly wear the green color t-shirt or green color clothes, people will tag you for particular party or particular religion. Okay, now this is what is happening, right? If you clothing or maybe food habit. Okay, suppose for example you are eating particular food, then you will be tagged that you are not this if you follow some atheism only, or if you don't follow in god, then you are a secular. No, not necessarily. Okay, so this is how the, because of the rise of some fundamentalism and these things, the polarization, etc., our cultural practices, we are questioning our cultural practices only. For example, we have good moral and ethical values in Ramayana and Mahabharata. Okay, but if we quote the Ramayana and Mahabharata, people will tag you again. You belong to certain community or certain section. But Ramayana and Mahabharata and their moral value, it is part of our culture, right? We still implement it. Maybe for example, Bhagavad Gita, there is like Nishkam Karma. We follow the moral values, right? Still, but still, if you follow that, now it is getting questioned. So why it is happening? Because of maybe polarization, etc. So we need to differentiate the exact what is secularism. Secularism, our definition is completely different than Western definition, and where what is the role of the state in that secularism, and what is our role in that secularism. So here, these are all challenges, right? State also, state has also some challenges. We as a citizen also has some challenges, and even though we are a follower of secularism, still we have challenges. Even those who are not, they are having challenges, right? So you can take the examples, and you can mention that, but still you can also see, despite these challenges, you can end the question on a positive note, because of our tolerance, because of our adaptability, because of our dynamic culture, which is more encompassing. Because of that, we are not that much. The still cultural, those practices are there, still they are there, and we need to address, etc., etc. Okay, so this is my view. You can again write in a different way or something. This is why what I thought just now. Maybe you can use different dimensions also. This is how it is. And don't feel like how we can write these things. If they are asking the question, you have to write like that, right? If they have asked question, if they are not checking something. Yes, there were events, right? For example, triple talaq. So it is changing the culture, maybe. So you can write accordingly. Don't fear that much. Okay, next is, please share one of or two already written test papers. You can share it with Niro sir, he will pass it on. Okay, Dishant. Okay, I'll do that. Sir, are you conducting test series approach batch? If yes, where to register for it? Okay, yes, I'm conducting. This is only I'll take 4 tests. Okay, 4 tests only, and that is uh, that that will be conducted along with the sectional test, which is Niravda sir is conducting. Okay, if you are interested in whole package, then you can enroll accordingly. Or if you are interested in only my test series, you can tell Niro sir, he will guide you, he will take admissions accordingly. You need to register for this test with the HB Desai Academy. You can google it. You can find, even Nirav sir will his number is there. You can contact the Nirav sir Academy only, because I'm not taking any registration out. I'm just helping, I'm just taking lectures. I'll do my part as just to support the Nirav sir. Fine. uh, I hope The structure part I addressed it, but we'll again address within the test series also, with the help of the question. Fine. This is from my side. uh, if you have any questions, you can contact me. I'll give you my contact number here. Okay, this is my contact number. You can contact me on this number directly. On all Saturdays and Sundays, I will be available all the time. On the In weekdays, I'll be available after 5:30 p.m. Okay. Uh, this is from my side. I hope you have followed. Please discuss keywords in detail. Right now, we don't have that much time because it's already 1 hour 40 minutes. I had planned this lecture for 1 hour 30 minutes. Okay, so we'll take it into the next discussion. Fine. Uh, okay, anyone? Anything else? I hope the questions are covered. Okay, so all the best from my side. Those who are joining, we'll meet them. Those who are not joining, still all the best for you. Okay, fine. Question is related to internal security that I will cover in the paper 3 approach lecture. This approach lecture was only for the GS1. Okay, those things we'll cover in the paper 3 discussion approach lecture. Okay. Syllabus for the first test, sectional test is you can contact Nirav sir directly. I don't know about the sectional test. I will be involved only with the full length test. Okay, fine. I hope this is from my side, and all the best. See you next time. Bye. Good night.